let's talk a little bit about your job in the hospital before you took your first acting class. How did you land into that role, even though your interest was in acting?
I worked in a cinema, believe it or not, when I started college. And it was Montreal. It was Cinema Le Mirage, which used to be Le Astre in St. Leonard. And the manager at the time saw I was a hard worker. Like, I would always do my job and then talk with the other ushers or with the other girls there. But I was always very responsible. And so one day he said, would you like to make $14 an hour as opposed to minimum wage? You're talking like 10 years ago now. So, I mean, that's a lot of money. And I was like, yeah, sure. I mean, you know, and he's like, my brother owns a hospital cleaning contract and we can get you started there. And he's like, only you I want to take because, you know, you've shown that, you know, you're willing to work. So he set me up with his brother, and that's how I started in that field.
So it wasn't because you had any particular education in it? You just knew somebody who liked you? I just
knew somebody who liked me. I went there, and I learned quickly how to do use all the various cleaning machines and how to remove wax from a floor and refinish the floor. And I was like, I don't know, I picked up to it very easily. And
but then why be miserable?
After a while, it became that we got another contract. So it was like 2 buildings merged into one, and a lot of the responsibility got put on my shoulders, and that was fine, but I felt I wasn't being compensated. I was doing all the physical labor, like, you know, 10, 12 hours a day, 7 days a week. I did that for 2 years straight. I was also helping with a lot of the finances of the company, like arranging to get financing for, like, expanding and other things. And I just felt I wasn't being recognized fairly, and I was just always miserable. So I decided one day, that's it. I've had enough.
Now let's compare that with some of the pleasures you experience being a professional actor.
There's a lot of rewards. I like to, I love to entertain people. It's what I do. When I hear someone laugh at something I've said or some imitation I do, it gives me a high. So that's definitely one thing. I like to meet people and say, well, I saw your film and you made me think this way, or it changed me in this way, or your acting was really, you know, it made me see things in a different light. So that really gives me another, you know, high, I would guess, you know, or just talking with people, interacting with people, because they're amazed that, you know, how did you do this, or how did you do that?
Tell me about that high. Tell me about exactly what you're feeling and where you're feeling it.
When I do a high in terms of live performance, I've done, we did actually a Master Mentalist show, which was a mock hypnotist show. It was at the Fringe Festival in 2002, and people at the first show thought it was real. And the guy who's hypnotizing us starts to do things that are unethical, and people thinking it was real started to get a really tense vibe, and you could just pick it up off the audience. And so it was like, is it real? Is it not? Is it this? Is it that? And that first night, people thought it was real. Like, afterwards, it was in the newspaper, and so by the second and third night, people knew, okay, this is kind of a show, and then more of our friends came, and it was just a different vibe from the audience you pick up. And after that show, it was as if I was like high, as if I had smoked joints. It was like high in my stomach, where my heart was beating the whole show. It was just an adrenaline rush, I would guess.
So, what part did you play in this mock hypnotist show?
I was playing a character. Well, it started off, we all start off in the audience, and they would pick actual members of the audience without actors to go up on stage, and as we're being hypnotized, they'd weed out the non-actors. So that's why people thought it was real. And I was playing a person who directed porn. And so a lot of people, when I mentioned Wild Rose Productions, knew it's a Montreal porn production, and they were like, oh, so this guy actually does work for Wild Rose. And so that was my character in the hypnosis. And then we ended it off that he sends us off back into the audience, but we're still under hypnosis. And he leaves because he's getting drunk as this whole thing. He's always taking a swig of his coffee, but it's really booze. And he just leaves us there, and then eventually, slowly, we all come out of it. And people are scared because, like, we've said things about ourselves personally that they're like, and I'm like, what's going on? What's going on? When I come out of it, they're like, oh, nothing. And it was to the point where people followed us outside to see if we were all meeting up laterwards at a cafe nearby, and they were like, people followed us there and said, oh, okay, it was fake, because they really thought it was real.
Was this done as a social experiment?
I didn't think at the beginning, no, like, we didn't know it would go that far. Like, this is just a show. It's on the festival, so it should be a show. But one guy came up to us and said, I was thinking of calling the cops because I was sure that this was real. So it was really a high.
Let's talk about different genres.
Mm-hmm.
You mentioned you like making people laugh, you like to make people think.
Mm-hmm.
Would you say that you have a knack for comedy, or do you have a preference for drama?
I think naturally, I like to do comedy naturally. It feels, that's me. I'm sort of a comedian. I like to make people laugh and things like that. I like playing the serious role as the, I think more for me it's more challenging to play the serious role, especially when it's kind of like the tortured bad guy. That's what I really like to do, and I think I would like to explore that more because it's more challenging to me.
Can you give me examples of a tortured bad guy, because I'm not really clear on the character
tortured bad guy. Okay, a guy that maybe he's like James Dean in Rebel Without a Cause. You know, he was a bad kid, but not really that bad, but he was really, tortured. Like inner tortures, So, or the bad guy that you like to hate, kind of like Al Pacino and Donnie Brasco. He is the bad guy, but you feel for him because he's such a real character, and you're like, at the end of the movie when he knows he's going to die, he takes off his rings and he leaves with $5 that he has left for his wife, and you feel for him. Even the fact that this guy has killed 27 other people, you still feel bad for him knowing that it's his turn to get whacked.
You are listening to Frank Talks Pleasures and Lifestyles, and we'll be back right after this.
Frank Talks is sponsored in part by Everything Out of Her Mouth is a Test, a man's guide to the emotional needs of women. Ladies, do you want the man in your life to understand you on your level? Do you want your man to be able to listen to and address all of your emotional needs? Show him how much you really want your relationship to be the best it can be. Everything Out of Her Mouth is a Test makes the perfect gift. The book, written by a man, for men, is endorsed by every woman that reads it. This book is a guide for men to understand exactly what a woman means when she speaks. Is that worth changing your life forever? Buy this book at franktalks.com now.
You want to learn new things? Want to meet new people? Want to discover real possibilities? Listen to Frank Talks, Pleasures and Lifestyles, in making the world a better place. Be sure to visit our website at www.franktalks.com for the most update information and the latest downloads of programs just like the one you are listening to now.
Frank Talks, Pleasures and Lifestyles mission statement. Our mandate is to make the world a better place by sharing information and interviewing people who actively experience and live various different pleasures and lifestyles in order to inspire and educate listeners about the possibilities to lead more interesting and fulfilling lives.
You're listening to Frank Talks Pleasures and Lifestyles, and I'm Frank because I have to be. In studio today we have Mr. Anthony Colace, a professional actor, and he's giving us a little bit of a window on the world of being a professional actor. Welcome back to studio, Anthony.
Hey, Frank.
In our last segment, we ended off talking about different genres in which you like to perform. Mm-hmm. We were talking about comedy, playing the character type of the tortured bad guy.
Yeah.
What other types of genres have you done, or are you looking forward to do?
Well, I've done, I played in one short film I did in Toronto, which was called, the working title was called Al the Thief, and I was Al, and I was really a nasty, I planned a robbery of a guy's home, and I was really a nasty guy, like a guy you don't like. I hit women, I shoot people, I was just one of those characters, like way over the edge. And I actually enjoyed doing it because it was something really different. I never played that before. So I enjoyed that one.
What other projects have you been on? I'm looking for a variety here.